love Black History Month, despite it being the shortest month of the year, but we're grateful.
With that said, we're going to celebrate and talk about historical events or iconic color figures of history leading to modern time.
I know in our last podcast, we talked about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr.
Well, today, we're going to get deep into the death of Malcolm X and all the conspiracies surrounding his death, because there are many theories.
Yes, there are. Malcolm was digging too deep, and his brothers, his Muslim brothers, didn't like it, especially Elijah Muhammad.
Yep, and so sad.
I'm not going to get into deep into Malcolm X's life and legacy. I think most of us should know that he was a minister, human rights activist, and very popular during the civil rights movement as a Muslim, which was later to may have killed him. Okay, first of all, note that the day Malcolm X was killed, it was kind of murky. Okay. Because it was reported on February 19, 1965, Malcolm X told interviewer Gordon Parks that the Nation of Islam was actively trying to kill him. On February 21st, 1965, he was preparing to address the OAAU in Manhattan's Audubon Ballroom when someone in the 400-person audience yelled, "In, get your hand out of my pocket."
Wow.
I believe that was a statement directed at Malcolm X, and yes, he was the same age as Martin Luther King Jr. was when he died, the age of only 39 years old.
Do you think it's like something to do with that?
It may be. I mean, that's one heck of a coincidence. I have to admit that one. Upon reading, I put two and two together. It stunned me as well. I mean, oh my gosh, they were both 39 years old. Crazy. Yes. Moving along here. His bodyguards tried subsiding the disturbance, but then a man rushed forward and shot him once in the chest, and this was with a sawed-off shotgun, and the two other men charged the stage firing semi-automatic handguns and blasting away in front of his wife and children.
Wow.
Devastating. Malcolm X was then pronounced dead at 3:30 p.m. shortly after arriving at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital. The autopsy revealed that he was shot 21 times to the chest, left shoulder, arms, and legs, including 10 buckshot wounds from the initial shotgun blast. Oh, yes. Oh, and the gunman didn't get away or was left unidentified. One gunman was identified as the Nation of Islam member Talmadge Hayer, also known as Thomas Hagen, who was beaten by the crowd before police arrived. Oh, yes. And the witnesses identified the other gunmen as Nation members Norma 3 times Butler and Thomas 15 times Johnson. They all were convicted of murder in March of 1966 and sentenced to life in prison.
That's good.
At trial, Hayer confessed but refused to identify the other assailants like the other witnesses didn't already identify him. But you know what? Moving along here. Except to assert that they were not Butler and Johnson. So he asserted that they weren't Butler and Johnson, even though people, you know what, I'm just going to let that go. But here's the tricky part. Butler got paroled in 1985. I know, suspect. And get this, became the head of the Nation of Harlem Mosque in 1998. You see, it's called Masjid Malcolm Shabazz. That was formerly known as Mosque Number 7, which is a Sunni Muslim mosque in Harlem, New York. It was formerly a Nation of Islam mosque where Malcolm X preached until he left it for Sunni Islam in 1964 that all the killers had conveniently converted to while in prison. Now, I don't know if we're doing it because of guilt or some kind of sick territorial takeover. I don't know. I'll let you be the judge of that.
Wasn't it rumored that the Nation of Islam leader Elijah Muhammad was behind the killing of Malcolm X?
Yes, that was definitely a rumor, especially after Malcolm started distancing himself. Now, this was around 1962. Now, here are the details. It seems that in April of 1962, several Muslims were shoved, beaten by two LAPD officers outside the temple number 27.
Wow.
Then a large of angry Muslims emerged from the temple and the officers started to yell and threaten them. It seems that one of the officers, this is kind of funny actually, were disarmed, and then his partner was shot in the elbow by a third officer. Not sure how the heck that happened.
Maybe it was like a misfire.
I'm assuming so. Then more officers arrived and then raided the temple and started randomly beating Nation of Islam members. The racist officers didn't stop at beating. They shot several Muslims, including William X. Rogers, who was hit in the back and later paralyzed for life.
Wow.
And Ronald Stokes, who was a Korean War veteran, was killed. He was shot from behind while raising raising his hands over his head to surrender. Oh, yes.
Wow.
Oh, I'm not done yet. Get this. And this is more like today. None of the cops were indicted or held at fault. They all kept their jobs.
Are you serious?
Of course, this pissed off Malcolm X because even surrendering to the police can still get you killed. So Malcolm X saw the desecration of the temple violence and demanded action. And he decided to become more hardened and stand your ground and for the Nation of Islam members to take revenge against the police. So Malcolm X sought Elijah Muhammad's approval, of course, who denied this stance. This stunned Malcolm X. You see, Elijah Muhammad was already getting an earful and was being shadowed by Malcolm X's success, even though he's the one who recruited him. But I'm not going to go there right now. So people were starting to think Malcolm was the leader of the NOI.
Okay.
So after this rejection and cops giving the rights to kill whomever apparently without fault, Malcolm saw this unjustified and immoral and felt that if the police are not following protocol, then why should we? Malcolm then started to work with civil rights organizations, local black politicians and religious groups, etc., which became an important turning point in a deteriorating relationship between Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow, that's so deep. But didn't Malcolm X also find out about Elijah Muhammad's extramarital affairs?
Yes, and this is the scandal, the nail on the coffin kind of. And I'm glad you brought this up, Lexi. It was told that Elijah Muhammad was conducting extramarital affairs with young nation secretaries and not all of age, man. Yeah, and random other women. I mean, he had baby mothers everywhere, which will constitute a serious violation of nation teachings. You see, now get this, like me, the initial accused man, okay? Elijah Muhammad first discounted the rumors upon Malcolm asking. But then Malcolm, who is known to dig deeper and went to speak. Okay, listen to what I'm saying now. He went to speak with Muhammad's son Wallace and with the women making the accusations, okay? This left Muhammad forced to confirm the rumors. I mean, after all of this, he finally confirmed it. But here's the crazy part.
Okay.
This was in 1963, 2 years before Malcolm X was killed. But of course, like any caught man, Muhammad tried attempting to justify his behavior by referring to percentages set by the biblical prophets.
At least he'll try, right?
I know, he was like, I did it because this is what they do in the Bible, you see. You see, he a prophet, you see. So he was doing what they did in the Bible. You know, I'm gonna let that ride. I mean, talk about a God complex. Meanwhile, I'm sorry, that was crazy because I'm a prophet. Never mind. Meanwhile, Muhammad's secrets, this is Elijah Muhammad, were spilling and Malcolm distanced himself because the man whom he came to love and cherish and quoted several times in his speeches, he was a liar. He was a fraud.
That must have been very devastating.
Very devastating. He really looked up to him. Anyway, this leaked, okay, of Elijah Muhammad made Malcolm even more famous and a threat to Muhammad's throne and power was being jeopardized. So Elijah Muhammad power was being jeopardized. And just like any man who is driven by his ego, fame, and money, Malcolm had to go.
Yeah, but Malcolm X also saw that revelation, and I read he started to travel and even travel to Egypt, France, right?
Yeah, Malcolm was learning his roots. He was learning the truth. Malcolm was a reader and mixed that with street smarts. He was a triple threat. He went there. He learned Hebrew. He learned Arabic. Yeah, he was definitely learning a lot of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was. And it was so weird was how his replacement and former student Louis Farrakhan came to power. Yeah. Wasn't it rumors of Farrakhan allegedly being the reason of Muhammad's negative thoughts against Malcolm X?
Yeah, rumor. And I thought that too. I'm not going to even lie about that, Lexi. Until I read and researched Farrakhan action shortly after, so I apologize if I misquoted him in some videos. It seems he started distancing himself from that kind of practice of NOI. So he even revealed that John Ali, National Secretary of the Nation of Islam, was a former FBI agent. You see, Malcolm, and this is really important. So he had confided to a reporter that Ali created tensions between him and Elijah Muhammad and that he considered Ali his arch enemy, which means his enemy if you didn't catch that. Oh yes, within the Nation of Islam leadership. Oh, I'm not done yet. Ali had a meeting with Talmadge Hayer, who was one of the men convicting of killing Malcolm X the night before the assassination. You make the call.
Wow. So Malcolm was finding out too much. Not to mention, he was becoming too famous.
Yeah, and he was becoming enlightened and was getting to the core of racism. Here's what his late wife Betty Shabazz said about her husband's assassination. While we did not always see eye to eye on methods to solve the race problem, I always had a deep affection for Malcolm and felt that he had a great ability to put his finger on the existence and the root of the problem. He was an eloquent spokesman for his point of view, and no one can honestly doubt that Malcolm had a great concern for the problems that we face as a race. She confirmed everything that I've been saying about Malcolm X and his ability to always dig deeper. Here is also the final speech of Malcolm X on February 14th, 1965, yes, Valentine's Day, at Ford Auditorium. In his speech, Malcolm X discusses Sunni view on Islam and disregards racism. This was his announcement of the start of his movement that he was calling Sunni View.
Hey, Mom, wasn't this the same name of the organization that his killers had joined?
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, which is why I question why his killers were joining it. Just take a listen to this.
Before I get involved in anything nowadays, I have to straighten out my own position. And which is clear, I am not a racist in any form whatsoever. I don't believe in any form of racism. I don't believe in any form of discrimination or segregation. I believe in Islam. I'm a Muslim. And there's nothing wrong with being a Muslim. Nothing wrong with the religion of Islam. That just teaches us to believe in Allah as the God. And those of you who are Christians probably believe in the same God. Because I think you believe in the God who created the universe. And that's the one we believe in, the one who created the universe. The only difference being you call him God and we call him Allah. Jews call him Jehovah. If you could understand Hebrew, you'd probably call him Jehovah too. If you could understand Arabic, you'd probably call him Allah. But since the white man, your friend, took your language away from you during slavery, the only language you know is his language, your friend's language. So you call for the same God he calls for. When he's putting a rope around your neck, you call for God and he calls for God. And you wonder why the one you call on never answers you. So that once you realize that I believe in the Supreme Being who created the universe and believe in him as being one, I also have been taught in Islam that one God who only has one religion, and that religion is called Islam, and all of the prophets who came forth taught that religion. Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, all of them. And by believing in one God and one religion and all of the prophets, it creates unity. There's no room for argument, no need for us to be arguing with each other. And also in that religion, of the real religion of Islam. And when I was in the Black Muslim movement, they didn't have the real religion of Islam in that movement. It was something else. And but the real religion of Islam doesn't teach anyone to judge another human being by the color of his skin. The yardstick that is used by the Muslim to measure another man is not the man's color, but the man's deeds, the man's conscious behavior, the man's intentions. And when you use that as a standard of measurement or judgment, you never go wrong. But when you just judge a man because of the color of his skin, then you're committing a crime, because that's the worst kind of judgment. If you judge him just because he was a Jew, that's not as bad as judging him because he's black. Because a Jew can hide his religion. He can say he's something else, which a lot of them do that. They say they're something else. But the black man can't hide. When they start indicting us because of our color, that means we're indicted before we're born, which is the worst kind of crime that can be committed. And the Muslim religion has eliminated all tendencies to judge a man according to the color of his skin, but rather the judgment is based upon his deeds. And prior to going into the Muslim world, Elijah Muhammad had taught us that the white man could not enter into Mecca in Arabia, and all of us who followed him, we believed it. And he said the reason he couldn't enter was because he's white and inherently evil, and it's impossible to change him. And the only thing that would change him is Islam, and he can't accept Islam because by nature he's evil. And therefore, by not being able to accept Islam and become a Muslim, he could never enter Mecca. And this is how he taught us. And You know, and so when I got over there and went to Mecca and saw these people who blonde and blue-eyed and pale skin and all those things, I said, well, but I watched them closely, and I noticed that there was, though they were white, and they would call themselves white, there was a difference between them and the white one over here. And that basic difference was this. In Asia or the Arab world or in Africa, where the Muslims are, if you find one who says he's white, all he's doing is using an adjective to describe something that's incidental about him, one of his incidental characteristics. So there's nothing else to it. He's just white. But when you get the white man over here in America and he says he's white, he means something else. You can listen to the sound of his voice when he says he's white. He means he's boss. That's right. That's what white means in this language. You know the expression free, white, and 21. He made that up. He's letting you know all of them mean the same. White means free, boss. He's up there. So that when he says he's white, he has a little different sound in his voice. And I know you know what I'm talking about. This was what I saw was missing in the Muslim world. If they said they were white, it was incidental. White, black, brown, red, yellow. It doesn't make any difference what color you are. And so this was the religion that I had accepted and had gone there to get a better knowledge of it.
Wow, that was definitely deep. And it proves my theory of him learning Arabic, Hebrew, and things of that nature. And that he was on a journey of learning the truth, the root of racism. And him clearing up the confusion because people were like, Allah isn't God, we praise. So he clearly explained in that clip that when they say Allah or Jehovah, that means the same God. They just call him a different name.
Yeah.
So he was clearing that up. He also learned the true teachings of the Bible. He also learned a lot more, actually. If you listen to his speeches, he definitely vocalized a lot of things he learned from Africa. So yeah, he was very inspiring. He went very deep with his teaching and learning. He was amazing.
Yeah. Malcolm X was deep and inspiring.
Yeah, he inspired many. Heck, he even inspired Muhammad Ali, especially after meeting Ali at a Savior's Day rally in Chicago in 1962.
Okay.
They met, talked. Ali was looking for some spiritual guidance. He didn't agree with the traditional Christian teachings and the favoritism toward whites. Completely agree.
Of course.
He questioned this several times in his TV interviews. Oh yes, Ali may not have been a high school graduate, and he was dyslexic, by the way, but he was very intelligent.
Okay.
Especially after Malcolm X took him under his wing and opened his eyes. Hence why he later joined the NOI. Heck, he even changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali. Here's one of his interviews. Take a listen.
People to move in the neighborhoods, we clean their own neighborhoods. And another thing, when you say integration, it comes under intermarriage too, right? All
right.
Being together.
Right, sure.
And I'm sure no intelligent white person watching this show, or no intelligent white man in his or her right white mind want black boys and black girls marrying their white sons and daughters, and in return introducing their grandchildren as half-brown, kinky-haired black people.
I wouldn't object to that.
Well, you wouldn't, but a lot of them would.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people...
And
no, this is the point.
What I'm trying to say is this. And you don't have it. You say you don't, but you don't have it. You really ain't going to have it. You're on the show, and you got to say that. But
that's not true.
Why would you want to do that?
Because I don't think I'm any different from you, you see.
Yeah, we much different.
I mean, I think society's made us different.
You know we're different. We're all together.
But society's made us different.
No, not society. God made us different.
No, we're just human beings. He made all of us.
We all, listen, bluebirds fly with bluebirds, red birds want to be with red birds. Listen, tell me when I'm wrong. Pigeons want to be with pigeons.
But
tell me when I'm wrong. They don't have intelligence, but yet they stay together. We should have more intelligence than them, right? Buzzards are with buzzards. Right? Buzzards are with buzzards. Bluebirds are with bluebirds. They all are birds, but they got different cultures. The eagles like to hang out in the mountains. The buzzard like to fly around the desert.
Well,
the bluebird like to fly around the trees and the grass.
There'd be certain problems, a buzzard mating with a sparrow, wouldn't there?
What?
There'd be certain...
Right. And we have the problems too.
No,
I don't see no black and white couples in England or America walking around proud holding their children.
That's because society...
And going out.
That's society's fault. I mean, we've got to educate people around it.
Well, life is too short for me to be raised catching hell for something like that. I'd rather go and be my own. I have a beautiful daughter, beautiful wife. They look like me. We're all happy, and I don't have no trouble. I ain't got no trouble. I ain't that much in love with no woman to go through all that hell. Ain't no one woman that good. You understand?
I understand, yeah. I do understand. I understand. But I think it's sad that it
ain't sad because I want my child to look like me. Every intelligent person wants his child to look like him. I'm sad because I want to blot out my race and lose my beautiful identity. Chinese love Chinese. They love the little slanted-eyed, pretty brown-skinned babies. Pakistanis love their culture. Jewish people love their culture. A lot of Catholics don't want to marry number Catholics. They want the religion to stay the same. Who want to spot up yourself and kill your race? You're a hater of your people if you don't want to stay who you are. You shame what God made you. God didn't make no mistake when he made us all like we were.
I think that's a philosophy of despair.
Despair.
I really do.
It ain't no despair.
Number
one, can't no woman. Let me tell you something. I want to tell you. Listen, no woman on this whole earth, not even a black woman in Muslim countries, can please me and cook for me and socialize and talk to me like my American black woman. No woman, and last is a white woman, can really identify with me and my feelings and the way I act and the way I talk. See? And you can't take no Chinese man and give him no Puerto Rican woman and holler about we're in love and you emotionally in love and physically, but really they're not happy because she's going to hear some Puerto Rican music, he's going to hear some Chinese music, and they're going to be clashing all the time. It's just nature. You can do what you want, but it's nature to want to be with your own. I want to be with my own. I love my people. That's all. I don't hate nobody.
Wow, so true. And I always question those things too, but later Ali distanced himself from Malcolm, didn't he? Especially during the time Malcolm and Elijah were at odds with one another.
Yeah, but after the truth was revealed, Ali was reported regretting siding with Elijah Muhammad in the beginning, and as reported by one of his close confidants, this one of Ali's greatest regrets, and he said as much, is that he never patched things up with Malcolm, that he never told Malcolm how important he was to him.
I always wondered when I went to church on Sundays. I've always been one to, I'm not just a boxer. I do a lot of reading, a lot of studying. I ask questions. I travel these countries. I watch how their people live, and I learn. And I always ask my mother, I said, Mother, how come is everything white? I said, why is Jesus white with blonde hair and blue eyes? Why is the Lord's Supper all white men? Angels are white. Pope and Mary and even the angels. I said, Mother, when we die, do we go to heaven? She said, naturally we go to heaven. I said, well, what happened to all the black angels when they took the pictures? I said, oh, I know. If the white folks was in heaven too, then the black angels were in the kitchen preparing the milk and honey. I said, listen, you quit saying that, boy. I was always curious, and I always wondered why I had to die to go to heaven. Why I couldn't have pretty cars and good money and nice homes now? Why do I have to wait till I die to get milk and honey? And I said, Mama, I don't want no milk and honey. I like steaks and I said, milk and honey is a laxative anyway. Did they have a lot of bathrooms in heaven? So anyway, I was always curious. I always wondered why. You know, Tarzan is the king of the jungle in Africa. He was white. White man. I saw this white man swinging around Africa with a diaper on, hollering, oh! Do you all see Tarzan over here? Right. Tarzan? And all the Africans, so he's beating them up and breaking the lion's jaw. And here's Tarzan talking to the animals, and the Africans been there for centuries, and he can't talk to the animals. Only Tarzan can talk to the animals. I always wondered why. Miss America was always white. All the beautiful brown women in America, beautiful suntans, beautiful shapes, all type complexions, but she always was white. And Miss World was always white. And Miss Universe was always white. And then they got some stuff called White House cigars, White Swan soap, King White soap, White Cloud tissue paper, White Rain hair rinse, White Tornado flow wax. Everything was white. And the angel food cake was the white cake, and the devil food cake was the chocolate cake. I said, Mama, why is everything white? I always wondered, you know, and the president lived in the White House. And Mary had a little lamb, his feet as white as snow, and Snow White. And everything was white. Santa Claus was white. And everything bad was black. The little ugly duckling was the black duck, and the black cat was the bad luck. And if I threaten you, I'm going to blackmail you. I said, Mama, why don't they call it white male? They lie too. I was always curious. And then, this is when I knew something was wrong. Won the Olympic gold medal in Rome, Italy. Olympic champion, the Russian standing right here, and the Pole right here. Is Poland considered a communist country?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm defeating America's so-called threats or enemies. And the flag is going ton 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 ton. I'm standing so proud. Ton 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 ton. And I done whooped the world for America. Ton 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 ton. I took my gold medal, thought I'd invented something. I said, man, I know I'm going to get my people freedom there. I'm the champion of the whole world, Olympic champion. I know I can eat downtown now. And I went downtown that day, had my big old medal on, and went to restaurants. At that time, black things weren't integrated. The black folks couldn't eat downtown. And I went downtown, and I sat down, and I said, a cup of coffee, hot dog. The lady said, we don't serve Negroes. I was so mad. I said, I don't eat them either. Just give me a couple of hamburgers. I said, I'm the Olympic gold medal. 3 days ago, I fought for this country in Rome. I won the gold medal, and I'm going to eat. The manager, I heard her tell the manager, and he said, well, I'm not the man. Now he's got to go out. Anyway, I didn't raise no, they put me out. And I had to leave that restaurant in my hometown where I went to church and served in their Christianity and fought, and daddy fought in all the wars. Just won the gold medal and couldn't eat downtown. I said, something's wrong. And from then on, I've been a Muslim.
Yes, I was going to ask you, in fact, what attracted you to the
truth, the teachings of Elijah Muhammad on how black people's been brainwashed, how they've been taught to love white and hate black, how we've been robbed of our names in slavery, we were robbed of our culture, we were robbed of our true history, so it left us a walking dead man. So you got black people in all white country, and they don't know nothing about themselves, they don't speak the language, they're just mentally dead. And this is happening all over the world. But the first place that will rise will be the black people of America, and then the rest of them will.
Well, Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali, may they rest in peace. Legacy lives on. His words, their words. Malcolm X's teachings, their teachings will be forever held dear and truths to many, especially me. But promise me, Lexi, always dig deeper about someone, okay? Never trust anyone's judgment upon someone without meeting them or researching them first, okay?
Of course.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Of course, Mom, you taught me this. Never judge a book by its cover.
Yes, or by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Quoted first by Malcolm X in his speeches, many speeches, and later by Martin Luther King Jr. Well, that's it for today's podcast. Tune in for Tuesday's podcast.
Oh, yes. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday. Yeah, and we have a lot more coming. No filter, especially you, Mom.
Anyway, talk to you all later.
Well, bye-bye.